Welcome back, my global citizens, my GCs. Thank you all who have joined Team Global Citizen, who have chosen to stay woke on social, economic, and political issues with regards to us being one race, one planet, and one people. Now, before we get to following with Pharaoh, dropping facts versus fiction, I'm going to need you to hit that follow button and then work your way on over to my StayWoque podcast on YouTube and hit that subscribe button, and let's go. Now, I want to thank you, my GCs, my global citizens, for your comments, for your feedback and trust. I want all the smoke when discussing skin color. Some of y'all, though, are still stuck like Chuck on this I'm black, white, or brownish. Now, I rock with y'all heavy. Love me some global citizens. But it's time for y'all to fuck around and find out. Because I feel like you're struggling with the concept of the one people, one planet, one race. One people, one planet, one race. One people, one planet, one race. Now, I love my culture, as you can see. You should love your culture also. That's not the issue. The issue is that we've now driven our society to operate based upon color. Make it make sense. Now, I said what I said. Colorism is dead. Black, white, brown are colors. They're not cultures, geographic regions, ethnicities. They are not different races. Yet we as human beings continue to focus on the differences of our color as an indication of character and content. Make it make sense. Embedded in our terminology towards each other, all of our government documents are inherently divisive by forcing you to choose on that drop-down menu whether you're black, white, or brown. It kind of subliminally puts this idea of the differences based upon color. It completely negates the individual and the collective cultures and heritage, which is truly where the richness and beauty of our diversity lies. Fuck around and find out. Race and color are a social construct. It is now listen up, my global citizens. This is really key. I'm about to drop some heavy jewels right now. Race and color are a social construct. It is a mechanism in which the many are controlled and subjugated by the few. The many have been convinced by the few that our resources are limited, and the few have we, the many, fighting over the perceived scraps. The few has used the many's attachment to this social construct of race and color to keep us poor and ignorant. Black, white, and brown, my global citizens, are colors. They are not cultures. They are not geographic regions. They are not ethnicities. They are not different races. 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 Even though much you say this to yourself, they are not different races. Fuck around and find out. Knowledge is power. Be informed, not influenced. Love the skin you're in. So, since I want to indulge, I feel like you guys continue to believe. You talk about it, it's in your terminology, it's all over social media, about skin color. But let's talk about truly where skin color originates from. Have you guys heard of the term melanin? I think you have. You've been throwing it around a lot. I'm melanated. He has no melanin. She has no melanin. Well, what is melanin? Melanin is a type of complex pigment that in humans is responsible for producing the pigmentation of our skin, our hair, and our eyes. Now let's say this again. Melanin is a type of complex pigment that in humans is responsible for producing the pigmentation of our skin, our hair, and our eyes. The pigment is produced, now ladies and gentlemen, this is a lot of scientific shit. I'm a scientist by nature, but I do this as an informative way of sharing how I feel on equal playing fields. We are all inherently just alike. There may be cultural differences, there may be geographic differences, there may be how we approach life differences, there may be political differences, but our physiology shouldn't be a means by which we judge our intellect. Now, there are basically two types of melanin, but really three. The third type has to do with neuromelanin, which is why your brain looks pink, but I digress. The two types of melanin are what they call eumelanin, and in eumelanin, that's eumelanin, eumelanin. There are two types of eumelanin, black and brown. And this is really key because a lot of you guys are stuck on this issue. I'm going to talk about skin color hair, and eyes. People with brown or black hair have varying amounts of brown and black eumelanin. When there's no black eumelanin and a small amount of brown eumelanin, it results in blonde hair. Has nothing to do with better genes or geographics. It's just the amount of actual melanin and what proportion and quantity each individual has. That is genetically based, that is environmentally based, but it has no correlation with content, character, or intelligence. Talk to me, my global citizens, because our focal point, our dialogue is always around color. The second type of melanin, there's eumelanin, which has two types of melanin, black and brown eumelanin, which I gave you the idea of how you get black and brown hair and blonde hair. Now, pheomelanin is the second type of melanin. This pigment is associated with alternate hues, such as the red and yellow pigments. This type of melanin pigments your lips, your nipples, or your other pinkish parts of your body. People who have equal parts of eumelanin and pheomelanin have red hair. So it's a balance of the amount of melanin, the different types that you have in your body, which determine your other outer physical features. Sidebar. Additionally, people who are born with clusters of melanocytes. Oh, I didn't tell you. So let me go back. Melanin is produced in a very key way. One, there are melanocytes, which are the cells that every person has. They produce melanosomes, right? And in melanosomes, they actually produce the pigment melanin. Melanocytes, melanosomes, and melanin. All right, so that's melanin in a nutshell. So what are the effects of and levels of melanin in the human body? Let's get a little deeper into, so we can really understand like how these physical features, I'm gonna explain to you, this is why I'm going through this, right? Because we focus so much and we've equated that with the level of intelligence, but I'm telling you, this is biologics. And it ranges. It doesn't equate to character, content, or intelligence. Now, equal amounts of melanin are present in all human beings, no matter how light or dark skin. It's simply the subtype of melanin that differs in light skin versus dark skin. Because the melanin in darker skin is, well, darker, issues with the melanin pathway become more visible. We're talking about pigment irregularity or melasma, brown spots and patches that each of us can have, some of you may have on your body. It's just different ways that your melanocytes have been congregated in different areas of your body. And in some cases, skin pigmentation disorders, however, even light-skinned people, even my white people who call yourself white or light or dark-skinned people, whatever, right, have melanin pathway irregularities, often described as uneven skin tone. Now, even for me, like when my upper body is more in the sun, my feet look a lot lighter. If I put my hand against my foot in the summer, it's varying different colors, especially if my foot didn't get a lot of sun. And we'll talk about the effects of UV rays later on. But that's melanin in different levels in your body. Fuck around and find out. What effects do melanin levels have on humans? And this is important because this then speaks directly to the different physical features that manifest based upon this exposure. Now, there are four things that affect your melanin levels. One, exposure to UV light, inflammation, hormones, and age. Now, inflammation, hormones, and age are really genetically based, but I want to focus on the UV light. UV light, the melanin helps to protect the cells of the epidermis, which is the upper layer of your skin, from UV light. And it does this, ladies and gentlemen, my global citizens, my GCs. It does this by absorbing the UV light before it's able to damage the sensitive DNA. So some people, who have less melanin and are exposed to UV light, it damages your epidermis or your upper layer, your melanocytes, and they become cancerous. Melanin also demonstrates an antioxidant activity by scavenging reactive oxygen species. What does that mean? Scavenging for reactive oxygen species. Basically, that means it's a cancer preventative. The more melanin you have and you're exposed to the sun, the more ability you have to protect yourself against, cancer. All right. What if you don't have enough melanin? right? It's always a concern. People, oh, you don't have any melanin. Everyone has varying amounts of melanin, which again affect differences in our skin, in our hair, and in our eyes. Now, melanin deficiency is linked to a number of skin disorders and health conditions. Some of these include, and many of you, my global citizens, may be experiencing some of these things, but understand where it comes from, right? Where the essence of it is, and how we've now utilized our external features as a means to judge how we interact, how we judge, how we deal with each other on social, economic, and political levels. No, I'm probably butchering this, but vitiligo. That's how, vitiligo. But this condition causes your skin to lose color, resulting in white patches. It occurs when melanocytes, remember melanocytes, everyone has those cells, turn into melanosomes, and then they end up producing melanin. But it occurs when melanocytes are destroyed by your immune system. Vitiligo. So vitiligo, those who are suffering from this condition called vitiligo, while vitiligo affects all races, it's more noticeable in people with darker skin. Now, albinism is another condition. When a person has very little melanin, it results in this rare disorder. People with albinism have pale skin, white hair, and blue eyes. There's also an increased risk for vision loss and sun damage. And the last condition affected by not enough melanin is called melasma. Now, people with melasma have brown or blue-grayish patches on their faces and arms. This condition may be caused by hormones, exposure to the sun, or birth control pills, prescription creams, laser skin, resurfacing, chemical pills. All that stuff you guys are out there doing to your skin can lead you to cancer. But these are what we do if we feel, I think, our skin color is uneven. This is what we do to even out. Skin peels and all that stuff to lighten and darken your skin. Come on, y'all, right? Love the skin you're in. Pigment loss following skin damage. If your skin becomes infected or burned and blistered, your body may not be able to replace the melanin in that damaged area. You'll see a pinkish color around if you get burned. Those who have been unfortunate enough to have been burned. Hearing loss, because the melanin is found in the stria vascularis of your inner ear, right? It's been linked to hearing loss. People who have too little melanin have a higher risk of hearing problems. Parkinson's disease, typically neuromelanoma, which is the third kind of neuromelanin, which is the third type of melanin, which I will get into later, but in your brain increases as we age. However, in people with Parkinson's disease, brain cells in the substantia nigra, I didn't make up these names, these medical terms, but as this happened, neuromelanin decreases. So they have correlated a decrease in neuromelanin with those who have Parkinson's disease. So my global citizens, why are we discussing or talking about melanin at all? I'm doing this to discuss and to tell you directly how our focus on our physical characteristics, are more divisive ways that we have not broken away from, and that has kind of bound us to this idea and laziness in getting to know each other's content and character. So in my description of what melanin truly is and where it comes from and what the source of it is, the essence of this, the reason behind this is for us to deviate from our, focus and our OCD on color, and let's migrate over to finding out. It is more work. It does take more effort and it takes courage, but to find out who we are as people, as ordinary citizens trying to live our best lives. Let's go. So-called white people who categorize them, called Asian and Europeans, are more likely to develop many types of skin cancer than any other racial group. Now, this is because they have less melanin in their skin, which gives it skin color. Melanin provides, again, some protection against UV light, which is the leading cause of cancer currently right now, which is called melanoma, right? So the cancer of the skin, or melanocytes. So-called black or brown people, which is probably African Americans, Indians, Latinos, have more melanin in their skin, and the cells are larger, providing added protection from UV rays of the sun. The sole distribution of melanin throughout the body determines the wide variety of skin colors and tones in all human beings. Again, the sole distribution of melanin throughout the body determines the wide variety of skin colors and tones in all the human beings, which can vary. So we should not be focusing on color. Let's go. Dear light-skinned Europeans and other cultures, so-called white folk. While it's true that melanin production in the skin can be increased by tanning, it's important to remember that the biological function of melanin and why tanning can be very dangerous for you, my global citizens who are my so-called white folk. During sun exposure, harmful rays from the sun penetrate through the skin and begin to damage the DNA in the skin cells. In response to this cellular damage, the body attempts to produce more melanin to protect the cells. This increase in melanin production is what creates this kind of signature tan on the skin. But however, my light-skinned folk who like to tan, once the skin begins to tan, this is an indication that cellular damage has already occurred. The amount of melanin produced through tanning, whether from the sun or any other UV light exposure, isn't enough to protect the skin cells from further damage. Stop tanning. Over time, the cellular damage can potentially lead to skin cancer. Many physical characteristics, big and thin noses, thin lips, being hairy as fuck, hairless, hair texture, curly or straight hair, bushy hair, red, brown, or black are all results of mutations and climate adaptations. Case in point, my so-called white people or lighter skinned individuals, that skin tone is a result of a mutation due to the change in climate as humankind migrated north into colder regions of our one planet, of our one origin in Africa. That skin evolution developed to allow more vitamin D to be absorbed from the sun. What is vitamin D, you ask? It is a fat-soluble vitamin that has long been known to help the body absorb and retain calcium and phosphorus. Both are critical for building bone. Also, laboratory studies show that vitamin D can reduce cancer cell growth, help control infections, and reduce inflammation. Why am I telling you all this shit, my global citizens? Why am I going through all this information? I'm sharing this information with you, my global citizens, my GCs. It is because we are in a crisis as a human race and our focus has been consumed with trivial matters like the fucking color of our skin. Homelessness, climate change, war, famine. There is only one planet, despite Elon Musk wanting the people to populate Mars. There's only one people. Well, we all originated from Africa and we're all one race, the human race. And our physical characteristics and are truly just the result and our beauty of us that are immersed in our diversity, in our adaptability, in our creativity. That's what that means. My woke folk, my global citizens, my GCs, our knowledge is power. Be informed, not influenced. Seek fact versus fiction and love the skin you're in. Fuck around with Pharaoh and find out, my GCs. Thank you so much. I love you, my GCs. Stay woke. Stay tuned for my next shit, bro. Fuck around and find out. Let's go.